Our next comedian this evening is one of my favorite people under 18, and yes, I have a list. Please put your hands together for Jayden Weatherley!
We make a sound even if nobody's around.
Skedaddly, skadoodly, who do it be but yours truly? Bars! So, yeah, I have some jokes. So I have an odd obsession with the show Forensic Files. Like, where they have, like, crime show, they get cold cases and then use technology to find out who did them and all that. And at the beginning of every single episode, they have this setup thing where they're like, a young woman was murdered in Massachusetts, and it would take 20 years. And then they start listing random items out that it took. So they'd be like, it took 20 years and a paper clip, a double stuffed Oreo package, those little things that keep bread fresh, but they're not like the twisty ties. They're like plastic. Well, twisty ties are plastic too. They're like hard plastic, and they're shaped like kind of like a square crab. And you know, just overly specific items like that. I like how whenever they like cut to commercial, they'll be like talking about some technology, and they're like, in the future, would technology develop to the point where this data could be analyzed properly or whatever? I would love it if they cut back from commercial and he was like, no. Yeah, it's all downhill from there. I got my cousin, Veda, they're 3 years, she's 3 years old now, right?
She just turned 4.
Just turned 4, look at that. Not even a joke. But I love her for many reasons, but one is she has the cadence of like a 1920s mobster. Like, a lot of times something will happen that she disapproves of, and then she's like, hey! And like, I just imagine it's like, hey, what you doing there? What are you... It's like, I went into a bit of a Jimmy Stewart thing. Which isn't really what I was going for. But that too, she'll make deals with you too like that. Like, she doesn't want to go to bed, so she'll be like, here's the deal, see? You make me go to bed and I'll bawl my eyes out. But if you don't, I'll sit right here with my stuffed owl. And that's it. She has a tendency to do that. You want her to do something, and then she's like, but I'll make a deal with you. What if I just don't do anything differently from what I'm doing right now? She has this show she watches called PJ Masks that I find hilarious because it's really lazy writing, because it's these 3 little superhero kids, and at night they become superheroes and put their costumes on and go into the night to save the day, which sounds cool, but the reasons they do are really lazy and like don't mean anything. So for example, this is literally an episode, they're like in school and some project requires them to like use eggs, and then they find out that like the egg carton is empty, and so their first instinct is to go out into the night as superheroes and search for the culprit that did this. Like, why do you just automatically assume that they were stolen by a supervillain? And like, what kind of use do they have of that? Yeah, none of my jokes have endings. You have to deal with that. Whenever I'm talking to people before I get on stage, like adults, other fellow comedians, all of them are adults, but I kind of, like, with the joke they end up telling, I kind of feel like I'm, like, To Catch a Predator decoy. Like, just in a way where, like, I make them comfortable, like, by about, like, the fourth abortion joke I make. They're like, oh man, now it must be cool. Like, my age disappears, and then, like, you know, I feel the intense urge to call them out. I'm like, just because I'm 16 and make poor decisions does not mean that you should be able to do the same. You need to be a good influence. How am I doing on time?
Yeah, 2:16.
2:16. Wow.
16 minutes.
Today in school, it was the very last class. We had to be like 15 minutes away from ending school or something, and it was like an Asian kid, and don't worry, it's integral to the joke. I swear. He just asked stupidly, and of course this wasn't sincere, it was like a joke. He's like, can I call my mom? And then, like, for what? You know, the teacher doesn't understand. He's like, I forgot my fried rice at home. Like, it was supposed to be self-deprecating to him for being the ethnicity he was, I don't know. But I just started unpacking the joke, and I laughed louder and longer than anyone else. Because I just started unpacking the logistics of it. Like, it's the last class, lunch is over. So, what used to man, do my fried rice, if I had it right now, let me tell you. And like, you forget it, like it's something you need to make sure to bring. Like, the backpack's just full of fried rice. It didn't make no sense. Yeah, I'm done.